are not cute.
Talking baby commercial?
Talking baby commercial.
Really, whose dumb idea was it to use infants talking in full adult voices to shill commercial products or try to be entertaining? It doesn't come off as endearing. It comes off as creepy, disturbing, and flat out wrong. Heck, I'd suggest that Seth MacFarlane understood this, and that's why he made a talking baby into an over-the-top evil megalomaniac, making Stewie Griffin one of the rare exceptions to this. But overall, yeah, creepy and wrong! And while I'm sure there were multiple factors in starting up this trend, I'd guess one of the big ones was the comic strip Marvin. This strip, created by Tom Armstrong and debuted in 1982, centers on the baby boy Marvin Miller, who basically is a sassy, snarky adult in an infant's body, mainly commenting on society as how it supposedly relates to him in ways that no infant should have any idea about. He's basically a one-year-old version of Garfield, and maybe that's why I never cared for the strip, feeling Armstrong was copying Jim Davis's format. I don't know, the concept probably works in theory, and maybe it was more entertaining in the early years, but it just comes off as not enjoyable for me. And it turned out to be one of the many animated specials that came out from comic strips in the 1980s, back when networks like CBS were much more willing to loan out their primetime space for such material. And I will give people like Phil Roman and Bill Melendez credit for trying and experimenting with making several comics into TV shows. The main point being trying, which in the case with this special, well, let's just look at it. This is Marvin, Baby of the Year.
Marvin, Daddy's home. Interruptions. But if I don't say hello, he'll take it personally.
Daddy's home. No!
I'm still training him to look down.
Well, if the Baby Blues show is any indication, I guess that means he's gonna become a serial killer.
Dad loves to make fat jokes at my expense. I can't wait till I can talk so I can stick it to him for that receding hairline.
And yes, I know that Marvin isn't actually talking in this show or the strip, but come on, how often do we actually remember there's a difference in the way those balloons are shaped? I still think Jim Davis put Garfield in some situations that only made sense if he was actually talking. And heck, at one point, this strip had Marvin using talking balloons. So to me, the whole talking baby concept still applies, especially since these thoughts still remind me of the Baby Geniuses movies.
More pictures of Marvin?
Yes, the man in the photo store said thanks to us, he'll soon be able to buy a new car.
Ah, yes, the baby photo albums. How quaint and nostalgic. Some of you might be too young to remember this, but back in the dark prehistoric times, all pictures had to be printed on glossy, easily damaged paper and stored in these huge, cumbersome books. One of the greatest fears of man back then was when parents would pull out the giant tomes and insist their friends look at the countless, monotonous images of their kids as ugly little brats or the many boring sites they visited on vacation. And that's not even getting into the horror that was slideshows. Meanwhile, the story here seems to revolve around the parents, Jeff and Jenny, preparing for a weekend getaway and leaving Marvin in the care of Jenny's parents.
Whenever they stay with him, it always takes a week for him to get back to normal.
Yeah, well, whatever normal is for Marvin.
Wow, willing to step away from her child before he's a year old. Jenny's got a lot more restraint than most comic strip moms. Meanwhile, they discover that Marv's grandparents left a flyer at the house for a local baby contest. Because, you know, Marvin clearly needed to join something to give him an ego boost.
Let's just put this flyer out of sight. That way, when they come to babysit tomorrow, they'll forget all about it.
We'll see about that.
By the way, those who have read the strip may notice the absence of one character. The miller's dog Bitsy, who is Marvin's primary confidant, is nowhere in this special, and that loses even further points because the conversations between Marvin and Bitsy were one of the few things entertaining about the strip. From what I've researched, the dog wasn't as prominent a character back at the time this special debuted. But for now, I'm going to assume he was just suspended from appearing in the show for staying out late and carousing with the Bumstead's dog Daisy.
What was that?
Take a guess, sounds like Marvin made a mess. Uh-oh, Marvin. I'll go look in Marvin's room.
Bring a dustpan and a broom.
Uh-oh, Marvin.
Oh yeah, that song's gonna give Lou Rawls a run for his money.
And sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Spider. Gruesome. Is she sure this nursery rhyme is G-rated?
That's nothing, kid. Wait till she reads The Little Mermaid and realizes it's a little different from the Disney version.
Marvy, sweetie baby, Mama has a little bit of something to tell you. Why does Mom talk baby talk when she has something important to say?
Because you're a baby? Look, I know you think you're already old enough to drive, but you figure you might at least humor her.
And you know who else will be here? Your sweet little cousin Megan. You don't seem very happy about Megan coming.
That was him crying? I thought the city cranked up the power on the storm sirens.
Ah, my fan club has arrived. Look who's here to visit you. Cousin Megan. I am woman, hear me roar.
Helen Reddy would be so proud.
You may want to take out a book on childcare. Jenny, honey, I'm your mother. But Mom, things are different now.
Okay, I will give credit where it's due. That comment could never be dated.
I think I should have passed on that last order of nachos. The kid's a human vacuum. Well, I myself am eating light. A girl is never too young to start worrying about her figure.
And she just inspired a whole new generation of anorexics. Now again, I know that a lot of these animated specials, especially from this time, usually include a bunch of gags that look like they were just pulled from the strips and thrown in, and sometimes they are, but this special seems extra brutal at it, because we're almost halfway through, and it has yet to really focus on the main story that it's supposed to center around.
See if it can get the right blocks into the right holes.
Beginner's luck. Besides, I could have done it. I was just toying with her.
So yeah, 10 minutes in and Marvin finally enacts his plan to get to the baby contest. And there's yet another 3 minutes of filler before they finally take off the next day. This is padding! This is padding! At the same time, it turns out Jenny isn't as willing to get away from Marvin as originally anticipated and has to keep calling. But this was before cell phones, so when the call to the house gets no answer, cue motherly panic!
It could be anything. A disaster, fire, flood, famine.
Well, in Marvin's case, famine would be a disaster.
Jeffrey.
Oh, but I give the grandparents credit for leaving a note because they correctly guessed that Jeff and Jenny would come rushing home. So yeah, they deliberately do something with their grandkid that they know his parents wouldn't approve of, but at least they're honest about it. And the creepiness just shot up another 500 points. cartoon equivalent of a baby orgasm. Unclean! Unclean!
I knew I'd fall in love sooner or later. I just didn't know it would be this soon. And she's got great taste in men.
Kid, you're supposed to see her and think cootie magnet. Trust me, you're better off.
Is this your first baby contest? Oh, no. Chrissy's been in every baby contest in the county, and she's won them all. It's so important to her. So very important.
That woman is doomed to make the cover of every tabloid in the country in a few years. So the contest begins, and I will admit the race was entertaining, but that just may be the NASCAR fan in me.
I knew that shit would come around.
And now our final gymnast, Baby Megan.
Oh.
And suddenly Megan turns into Mary Lou Retton.
The winner of the Beautiful Baby Face Competition, Chrissy. And now for our tie-breaking event to determine the Baby of the Year, the Manual Dexterity Competition.
The what?
It's the same educational toy we bought for Marvin and Megan.
Wait. You mean that was a plot point earlier?
Chris is cute, and I know winning this contest is important to her, but I can't let a couple of girls beat me.
And now Marvin's cry is a weapon on the level of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. The Baby of the Year is Chrissy.
I don't believe it. I was robbed. You did it. Anything for you, dollface.
11 and a half months old and he's already whipped. That kid is doomed.
Come on, Marvin. We're going home.
You too, Megan.
I don't want you in any more baby contests. I want my little boy to be a regular all-American kid who runs and jumps and...
Huh. I actually like that. Yeah, for everything I've complained about so far, this ending is pretty darn good. Granted, there was no way the producers back then could have known that the JonBenet Ramsey case would expose all the horrors of the baby pageant industry, but I do like that they show Jack and Jenny as parents who want a normal life for their infant. People like that would give more hope to the world. But of course, the contest has to end with one more creepy image. I keep seeing that and remembering a photo at a Hooters showing an 8-year-old grossed out at a waitress kissing him. Simpler times.
Grown-ups are so lucky. They can stay up as late as they want. I can't wait till I'm a grown-up so I can stay up late and have fun like Mom and Dad. I'd watch TV, I'd eat ice cream, I'd go out for a walk.
And I think I'm about to fall asleep from having watched this. What can I say? This special was just dull. Even if this had been one of my favorite strips, the jokes on this show are flat, the characters are wooden, and the story comes off as uneventful. It just doesn't seem to have the adventure that normally comes with some of the better animated specials, and instead comes off like a throwaway episode of a larger series. The ending does have a nice moral to it, but it sadly isn't enough to make for the 20 other minutes of boredom. And we just have to expect something better from the specials that came from our generation. I mean, it's not like there were animated adaptations from earlier times or anything.
military hero of the nation. Though he doesn't always follow regulations, at the sound of reveille, he is here for you to see, and we know you'll laugh with Private Beetle Bailey. Beetle Bailey, as the general, colonel, major, and the captain, the lieutenant and the sergeant and the corporal,